Hi guys, what's up? If you don't know me, my YouTube name is Sage, my main YouTube that is. And I'm going to be doing some little commentaries on various political, social, whatever, economic perspectives, you know, because I didn't want to pollute my other channel, which is more for just wisdom and genuine truth. With all this political jargon, but I do have these opinions that I want to get out there because I follow the news, you know. I'm not like before where I thought that the news was truth, but I'm careful about what news that I listen to. I like Al Jazeera English is my favorite news channel right now, but MSNBC is pretty good sometimes, you know. Keith Olbermann is fantastic. Thank God for Keith Olbermann. What an amazing reporter, journalist, whatever, news anchor. I know people might be calling him a flaming liberal or whatever the hell, you know, but really, there's more to life than choosing between liberal and Republican. If you honestly think that everybody in the world can be broken down into a liberal or a Republican, you need to have your head examined. I've never considered myself a liberal or a Republican. I've always considered myself neutral, not involved in that whole brainwashed nonsense. Because once you start calling yourself a conservative, then you start adopting a particular point of view that was set up for you before you were even born. Once you start calling yourself a liberal, then you're really giving a false label to that real compassion and genuine connection that you have to your fellow man. It's not liberal to love your neighbor, you know. It's not a liberal idea to think that torture is bad in Guantanamo, for example. Those aren't liberal concepts. Those are just the way that it is. Okay, but I'll save this discussion for another video. Today I wanted to touch on the idea of a new world order, because I know it's something that draws a lot of attention, you know. There's a lot of people out there who are all gung-ho about this whole, like, CIA, black, yeah, da, da, da. And I'm not denying it, that there is this secret society or secret government even. But what I think needs to be understood is that the concept of the New World Order has been here for a long, long time. It's been the New World Order, you know. You guys, most of you guys who follow the conspiracy stuff, you don't realize that you were born into this world and heavily brainwashed. So when you get into the conspiracy stuff, it's mixing with your brainwashing to form this like paranoid, schizophrenic view of reality. And I'm not trying to hate on you if you're listening to this and you're a truther. I'm just trying to say you need to open your eyes and see that you've already been brainwashed. It's not coming, the New World Order isn't coming, it's been here. Like Terrence McKenna said that the only difference between us and 1984 is we dress better. And that's a very accurate statement. Look around you. Nobody in this world is capable of thinking outside the box. There's this box that everyone is stuck in. And if you're one of these truth people and you're getting offended by what I'm saying, then consider that this offense is being generated by this box. So when you go talking to some random person and you notice that they're the same demeanor, the same attitude as every other person that you've been talking to in your life, that is a hint that, hey, what's going on here? Something isn't right. There's this invisible thought police in your head. When you think something that is maybe unacceptable, when you think something that's maybe not cool or pussy or, you know, liberal or whatever the hell word it is, these buzzwords, when you get to thinking that something that you're thinking is wrong because of these weird little preconceptions about reality, then you're thinking inside the box. Then you're stuck inside this box, you know? What creates this box? Well, I'll explain it by the theory of Plato's simulacrum. This is a philosophical theory that gave rise to the book by Jean Baudrillard that gave rise to the movie The Matrix. Actually, Keanu Reeves was asked to read this book by Jean Baudrillard based on this idea of the simulacrum. So when we're born, there's such a heavy amount of inherited characteristics and understandings about reality that we receive from our parents or receive them from them and so on, that it becomes reality for us. It becomes a representation of reality that we take for the real reality, but it isn't. And you see, we're incapable of seeing outside of it. Plato described it, I think it was Plato, don't quote me on that. One of those Greek guys back then, who were also students of the mysteries, of course, is why that they were so enlightened in their thinking, was because they were studying the mysteries that were brought to Greece from Egypt, that were brought there from Atlantis. Admittedly, the Egyptians were well aware of their Atlantean origins. They wrote it all over the place. The Sphinx, they've determined that the Sphinx had to have been more than 12,000 years old because there's rain damage on it from when Egypt was a lush jungle area. Perhaps before a pole shift, I don't know, but there's definitely evidence that pole shifts have happened before. Anyway, getting off topic. The way Plato described the simulacrum was he used the idea of an empire. Imagine an empire, like the Roman Empire is a good example. But imagine that the Roman Empire had conquered all of the known world, which they basically did, but imagine that they conquered even further than that, the whole subcontinent, the whole continent, the whole massive array of continents that is Asia and Middle East and Africa and Europe. When the Romans faded away, when their power was gone, when the actual empire itself was gone, what was left was a map of the Roman Empire. They drew a map around themselves and called this the Roman Empire. So, as the actual Roman Empire fades away, what's left is this map, and this map is inherited to future generations. Everything that was outside of the map dies away and was lost, and what they inherit is the map itself. So that's all that they have. That's all that they know is what they've inherited from the past. And they think that anything outside of it is a bunch of poppycock and it has no place and whatnot. So you see, it's not that it gets it's not that it's a trouble or it's preventing, what do I want to say here? It's not a little thing, is what I'm trying to get across here. It's not some little thing that everything that we know is just merely a result of what we've inherited from the past. That's not an insignificant little thing. That is everything that we know, everything that we take for granted about reality is not true, is false, is lies. Paramhamsa Nityananda from Life Bliss Foundation said that what this thing that I'm referring to is, these samskaras, is what they're called in Hindu terminology, or Sanskrit actually. These samskaras, these engraven images about reality, they form a mountain of lies until we stand on top of this mountain and we say, okay, this seems pretty secure, but actually it's a mountain of lies. So what happens when we look down and we see our mountain and we look around and we see that that's all that we know, then we're afraid to change. And anything that comes along that seems to be different, this is why people are so rude when it comes to attacking each other and making fun of each other, because they have their little mountain of lies, and anything that doesn't fit inside of it doesn't work for them. That's why you see people trying to judge each other and correct each other all the time because, you don't fit in with my mountain of lies. So this relates to the New World Order, because the New World Order is this place where people are not aware of what's going on. They're not aware that they're enslaved. I read a quote somewhere and it said, if you really want to enslave somebody, if you really want to enslave a man, make them think that they're free. So everything that you've been told about reality and reinforced by the TV, by the school, by the culture in general, everything that you've been taught by these people, over your life since you've been born into this world is a lie. It's all a lie. It's all based on lies. You know, remember 400 years ago, Copernicus and Galileo